That's right there. Hi, Laura. Good morning. I was actually just inside the courthouse, and his family arrived about a half hour ago, and they were actually praying with Combs. They left the courthouse, and then it was just moments later that we learned that the jury had reached a verdict, and it appears that they have reached perhaps a unanimous verdict on count one. I do want to talk about that. A note came at the end of the day from the jury saying that they were deadlocked on that racketeering, that RICO conspiracy charge. Remember, over the last 7 weeks, prosecutors, they called 34 witnesses, claiming that Combs ran a criminal enterprise. They called it his kingdom, saying that he had personal assistants and employees carrying out illegal activity on his behalf. In an effort to try to prove that, they had witnesses testify about some of those, that illegal activity, those predicate crimes. Among them, arson, bribery, witness tampering, sex trafficking falls underneath that, transportation to engage in prostitution. We also heard from two of Combs's former girlfriends, one being Cassie Ventura, who he dated for over a decade. She took the stand heavily pregnant for 4 days, Laura, and it was emotional testimony, playing video that was Combs brutally beating Ventura at that Los Angeles hotel. Saying in closing arguments last week that this did not prove sex trafficking, that the video simply proved domestic violence, that you don't want the government in your bedroom, in your sex life, describing this as a swinger's lifestyle. I also want to point out, right, Laura, that his team did not call any witnesses. They rested their case in 30 minutes, going so far as to attack Cassie Ventura, saying that she was the winner in this situation.
Y'all ready for a verdict this morning?
Amen. What do you think?
Yes,
sir.
I'll go with the standard that short deliberation is good for the state. So probably guilty, but he's got 5 counts. There they are: racketeering, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, transportation to engage in prostitution, sex trafficking by force. And I can't see what the last one was there, but each and every one of those is going to carry pretty heavy
sentences. Hey, Joe, that RICO one, is that to get him on possible blackmail? Like
now, RICO is for organized crime. It's for crime syndicates in cartels and things like that. So it's really just a conspiracy.
So it doesn't specifically like include that, because that was like one of the things that they were saying to begin with, was he was keeping all those videotapes to blackmail people.
6 of his 7 children are in court today.
Sure.
Or is it just more generalized?
That would be extortion. That wouldn't be RICO. RICO means you're engaged in criminal activity as a business, and you have a network and organization. Think of mafia. That's what it was built.
Yeah. I just didn't know if it included like extortion into that, or if it was just more generalized.
You could have a RICO act that involves anything: an extortion conspiracy, an extortion, drug trafficking, sex trafficking conspiracy, all combined would be under the umbrella of a RICO. But I didn't see those in the 5 counts. Now we know that the prosecution did withdraw some portions of the indictment when they did the jury instructions, which tells me that they didn't believe themselves that they proved the elements of those offenses.
Yeah, I don't think I heard extortion mentioned in any of these charges originally, but I know they were kind of edging towards that.
Another one you don't see is RICO. It's not a charge.
That was the first one, wasn't it? The first of the 5?
Was that not a conspiracy? It was conspiracy, yes. So that part's there, but I'm saying you hadn't seen the word RICO, like the news.
Oh, okay.
No, it was racketeering, wasn't it? Isn't that the way they wrote it?
Racketeering is the R in RICO.
The judge
Right.
has to be so careful with his language when he doesn't want to put too much pressure on him, but he does.
But it's conspiracy is what all the RICO statutes fall under.
There's a deadlock. There is language that a judge can read. It's called an Allen charge. This judge actually fell short.
Are you posting this on X, Joe?
Yeah, we are live on X and YouTube.
Okay, good.
Listen to each other. Think about the evidence. If you're in the minority of the group, here.
And folks, our comments are open. Anybody wants to make comments, we're just going to let these talking heads do their job, talk in their heads. What's happening now is the jury's announced that they have a verdict, so they're recalling everyone back into the courtroom so they can read this aloud. No one
and
knows what
also
the
not
verdict is
being
at this point.
pressured. And that's where it can get very dicey. There's a lot of criticism of this instruction. You hear the defense often say it's too early to give this instruction because
the
it can be
defense
seen
wants
as
a mistrial.
coercive.
The defense is their best hope.
Yeah, I don't know who just
is
popped
not
in here as
to
the
punish
N word,
the
but you're not
acquittal
going on the
quickly
screen with
because
the
they're saying
N word there.
we can't get an acquittal.
Whoever that
We'll at
is.
least take a mistrial.
A mistrial is a win for the defense.
I'm gonna interrupt you just closely here, Misty, because we are getting the verdict coming in right now. This is coming in real time, and we have count 1 here. This is the racketeering charge. We have the count here of not guilty on racketeering.
Oh.
This is coming in real time. We have count 2 also coming in here, not guilty. That is the sex.
Get the hell out of here.
He's going to clean sweep it.
3.
He is.
We have guilty. Count 3 is guilty for the transportation of Cassie Ventura. That is guilty. Count 4. This is the sex trafficking of Jane. That's a pseudonym. Not guilty. Count 5. We have guilty. That is 5 counts. We have a mixed verdict here. Again, count 1 as it relates to racketeering, not guilty. Count 2 as it relates to sex trafficking, not guilty. Count 3, guilty. Count 4, not guilty. Count 5, guilty. Now, we should bring up here, Misty, all of these counts have a range of different sentences, a range of different evidentiary burdens, a range of different outcomes we could have had here. But it is a mixed verdict, if you will.
It's a mixed verdict, but it is a stunning victory for the defense. The Mann Act, these charges.
I'm shocked we're getting guilty for.
Why? Why are you shocked?
Because a lot. It was my understanding that a lot of them testified, and I think we saw in Cassie's that they were drugged. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't get 4.
So you think that?
Well, 2 and 4 are the same,
but different victims.
What's that?
Count 4 is the same charge, but 2 different victims. Actually, count 3,
okay.
5, I believe. No. No, they're different. 4 and 5 aren't the same. Transportation engaged in prostitution, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion.
2 and 4 read the same. That's what I was saying.
But he's guilty on the transportation engaged in prostitution on 3 and 5.
Yeah.
This is a win for Diddy.
Yeah, it really is.
I see we have advocate for education. She's got a what the heck. She says that they should be guilty on all 5.
You know what, advocate? They didn't broadcast the trial, so we haven't seen the trial ourselves. You know, I'd kind of like to see that trial because I kind of feel the same way.
Well, you're never going to see it. You can get the trial transcripts and you can get some friends to reenact it.
Joe, are you going to play Diddy? Or are we going to give that to Mayhem?
I think that's Mayhem's role.
Okay.
He not guilty, but he's not guilty either. He's kind of halfway in between. So racketeering, the RICO Act, he was not guilty on. So what did they get him on? Transportation for the purpose of
prostitution. That's all they got him on.
Carl,
I bet he gets a light sentence.
We don't know. I'm about to look up his exposure. But Carl, what do you think about that? Or Mayhem? Who dat?
Can they retry him on the RICO charges?
No, he can't be tried on anything that he was tried on this round.
Okay, I didn't think so, but someone somewhere had said they could, and I didn't think that was right.
I'm surprised that he's guilty on 3 of the 5. Or 2 of the 5.
Why, Carl?
I didn't think the prosecution, I didn't think the state had a real strong case.
From what I heard, I don't believe they did it. I'll tell you, it's also unusual that the state goes and withdraws indictments at the point of giving the
When
jury
they're so,
instructions.
yes, when they're so far along, correct.
So it says that they weren't happy with the
Their
prosecution that
case.
they achieved. Yeah. But now you double jeopardy doesn't allow the state to retry you on anything that you've been found not guilty on.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And given the fact that he has a lot of power and fame in New York, I'm not surprised that he got away with the most serious charges.
Looks like he's got a 20-year exposure on both of those charges. So the maximum he could do would be 40 years if they'd run him consecutively. Most likely they'll run him concurrent, but his exposure is 20 years on each one of those charges.
So he's looking at about maximum of 20 years.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, the transportation is 10 years. Maximum 20 years total.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get the full 20.
I don't either.
No, he'll probably get credit for time served. He'll get...
and be done. You know, if the charges were right, I mean, no matter how the court found or anything, if they were correct in their assumptions on those, on making those charges, I feel so bad for his victims.
Me too. They're going to have to get out of town because he's going to retaliate.
Well,
Yeah.
you think about like Bieber and Cassie and all of them. Is
Bieber a victim, or is this all just what y'all guys are hearing? Because in court they didn't bring this up. I'll be honest with you. I think the state's
well, he wouldn't testify.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm not so much worried about his celebrity victims or anything like that. It's the people who probably gave testimony, like people who worked for him, like a
His
maid
assistant?
or maid assistants, people like that.
Yeah, but
That's
don't you
who I'm
think
more.
that he just went through all this, that if he were to engage in some sort of conspiracy, hire others to enact some retribution on others, that he would just be doing another RICO conspiracy? Why would you go down that road? I don't think it's wise.
I mean,
Well, he got away
why do criminals reoffend when they just got off
All right,
on a charge?
hang on. I'll go back to what Pidgey said. He got away with it once. Because you don't agree with his verdict? Do you think that the state proved its case and they should put this American in prison?
Well, I remember the assistant, his PA, did testify, and he testified that he was drugged and raped. So that was kind of.
But the jury didn't. There was something that the jury didn't like about that. They didn't believe it, evidently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, juries get things wrong all the time.
So, is there a minimum charge for the charges? Is there a minimum time for them?
I didn't see a minimum, so he could actually get probation for them. So there's no minimum, maximum 10 years per guilty charge.
Okay, I was just curious if there was. All right, thank you.
Just waiting. I guess we just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, they'll schedule some sentencing for probably a couple of months down the road and see what happens. But is he in jail now? Did he make bond?
I don't think they gave him a bond.
No, he's in jail. They never gave him a bond.
He may actually get an opportunity for bond now. Those charges that he was found guilty on are significantly lower than some of the other charges he was charged with.
You know, the thing is, after Trump and all that, I just don't trust New York juries. I don't trust New York juries, and I don't trust DC juries.
So is that fair to somebody who's charged with a crime in New York and they're found not guilty? You just think they're guilty, and if they're found guilty, you're just going to assume that they're not guilty because you don't trust the juries there?
No, that's what the court says. So you have to go along with the verdict, but that doesn't mean that I trust the juries there.
I
I,
don't.
I think
I
the
don't.
juries are crap.
I don't trust Diddy.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I got to get back to my class, man. Thanks for popping this up, Joe.
Hey,
Yeah, no,
King.
we're going to shut it down here in just a few minutes. I just wanted to pop that on. I seen it coming across and thought it was interesting. Everybody's been waiting for it, and here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it tonight a little bit because I want to know the results and the possibilities. I thought that he would sing like a bird in order to save his own skin, but he didn't. So we'll see how it goes over the next 3 months, really.
I say get 10 years.
I know
Max.
everybody's got the old Diddy down as the devil on this, but they took it to court and put the full max force of the government against him and couldn't prove it. I think it was more of sensationalism than it was evidence.
Yeah, I think at most he gets 10 years. 5 years for each count.
I bet he gets probation. That's just a guess. I bet he gets probation and a fine.
Really? That'll be
I think so
interesting.
too.
They found
I'm
him guilty
surprised
on
that the
two lowest charges, which is essentially you take someone to across state lines for the purpose of prostitution. It's not forcing them. It's not coercion. You didn't hold them at gunpoint. It's a prostitute said, "Hey, you give me a ride to Oklahoma from Texas. I got a John up there." That's the crime that he was convicted of. Times 2.
Okay.
So much.
Maybe probation then.
what about the assault charges? I mean, there's live video assaulting. That's not up there.
Yeah, which charge was that? Which count was that of the 5 that he was charged with? Don't see it.
Yeah, that would be a
He didn't
state
charge
thing.
But the state didn't charge him. The victim didn't make a complaint. What are you going to do?
That's because you got paid. That's why.
That's what I'm answering. What's his name? Mayhem's question. That would be a state charge rather than a federal charge when it comes to assault. I don't see the federal government charging you with assault unless it's attached to something else that they're charging you with.
Right, that's federal, yes. Correct.
Now, there are federal assault charges. They could have done that if they wanted to. They had the evidence for it. It comes back again. I don't know that they got the evidence for all this that we're talking about. They didn't bring it to court the day they're supposed to have it, the day you're supposed to show it, how it's all supposed to work. The state fell short of the line. The jury said no.
What do you think this will do to his career?
Nothing.
I don't think it'll do anything.
I mean, those who know Diddy know that he's been doing shit like this for a long time.
My question is, what career? This dude ain't done nothing since alcohol. Sean John, no music, no nothing.
Yeah, like nobody's messing with him. Before this, they damn sure not messing with him now.
Yeah, I don't think. I think he goes back. I bet he learned a lesson. This wasn't fun. I don't care if he's Sean Diddy and all this other business. I promise you, when he gets back home and gets on a porcelain toilet and sleeps in a regular bed, he'll appreciate it.
I hope so.
And I'm not a big fan of Diddy. Don't know a whole lot about him, but I will say this: that it's hard for me to say I believe in the jury system, and then when they come back where I thought somebody should have been done, I just thought that. I didn't hear the evidence or anything. I wasn't proven anything. Then I feel kind of weird about that.
Here's the thing, Joe. I don't necessarily think that Diddy is done doing shit like this, because remember in 2001 when he had that gun charge, he still engaged in activities, criminal-like activities afterwards. I think this is just going to embolden him.
It looks like he didn't do any of these things you're talking about. Transportation to engage in prostitution is literally you drive somebody across state lines to.
I'm talking about just criminal activity, period.
What criminal activity?
So in 2001, he had a charge of carrying a gun. That was the J-Lo charge. He then basically lied and got other people to lie and say that his protege, Shine, was the one with the gun. Which Shine denied that he ever did it, but he was put on trial and convicted of it. Then he had various assault charges throughout the years. Well, various assault accusations, not charges. Accusations throughout the years of him beating up people, setting people car on fire and shit like that. I think Diddy is a bad apple, and I think he will continue to. He reminds me so much of OJ. He will continue to do shit because he think that he can't get caught or they can't make charges stick against him.
Yeah.
OJ after he was acquitted of the Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman murders, what did he do? 15 years later, he robbed somebody. So like for me,
Like 15 years, man. That's a long time. I
I
don't know that
mean
those two are connected.
Diddy, in my opinion, I know Diddy a lot because I follow a lot of hip hop, and Diddy has been involved with a lot of smoke. They just haven't
Here's
been
what
able to find
bothers me.
fire.
If I go by this whole not guilty thing, then I can't hold anything against him. He can move on about his life, and all the things you talked about. The state had their swing, man. They could have done everything. The federal government could have brought all those charges and prove, and they tried. That's the thing about it. They tried. Every bit of excerpts I heard out of this trial was something sensational, like during the Trump trial when they wanted to talk about the sex he had with Stormy Daniels, when this was about accounting. You get me?
Mhm.
They brought in all the sensational things, think they would sway the jury with emotions. And if that's what they did, I'm glad they come up with this verdict because that's not the way it should be done. You should bring facts in if you're going to put an American in prison.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, if 5 years later we all are in the StreamYard space or whatever, talking about how Diddy is being brought up on charges again for something, I'm just saying, don't be surprised. That's
I
all
No,
I'm
think
no,
saying.
I don't know that I'd
uh,
be surprised. I might be surprised they get him found guilty the next time.
Yeah. What are you about to say? Who that?
Yeah, who that's trying to talk?
I was just gonna say my opinion is that if the jury did get it incorrect, a leopard, like, as far as what he is accused of, generally people like that don't change. So if they did get it wrong, then time will tell if we see other activity in the future.
That's all
Well,
I'm
let's see
saying
how he
too.
celebrates, because they didn't touch his wealth. I mean, they didn't even get close to touching his wealth.
How are they going to touch his wealth? Well, y'all just some
They
accusations ready. Y'all just start kicking people in the
You know,
teeth.
it's not an
Jesus
accusation.
Christ.
It's the when the
Exactly what it
federal
was, an
government comes
accusation,
after
and the jury
you,
said
that's
not guilty. That's what this was, an accusations, and the jury said not guilty. There it is, on the three most serious things.
wait. I'm talking about they didn't touch his wealth as far as like his defense payments and everything like that. When the feds bring a case against you, that's very expensive to hire those defense lawyers.
Yeah, but
So
he'll be all right. He got enough money
yeah,
to cover that.
yeah, they didn't touch his wealth really. That wasn't even a dent to him.
The only thing that touched his wealth is the fact that he lost a lot of endorsements because of the charges.
Yeah.
Initially, that's the only thing that affected his bottom line, but he still has a ton more money than any of us can buy.
Yeah, I don't think he comes out of this unscathed. I think this was a life changing event for him, especially being held in custody for the trial.
Mm,
I hope so.
I hope so, but I'm not that optimistic.
bro.
I mean,
Oh,
really, the
dude,
only
yeah,
thing we
he
know,
got lucky.
the only thing we know is what the media tells us, and we don't believe the media unless it tells us things that we want to believe. It seems so. I'm just as skeptical on the media and what the media said about him and what the government said about him. To be quite frank, since the jury didn't believe it either, and I'm going to
Well,
give him the benefit of the doubt.
no, I mean, honestly, for me personally, I didn't really follow it that closely. I heard bits and pieces here and there.
The
So
only
I don't personally have a strong opinion as far
uh,
as his guilt or innocence because I didn't hear everything. So I do agree with you that I don't know.
So the only thing that I sorry to cut you off, who that?
That was
Um,
fine.
the only thing that I do believe for 100% of a fact is that he beat Cassie because that's on video and he
Yes,
admitted to doing it.
correct.
That's
Yes,
the only thing I know of 100% of a fact is
correct.
that he beat the shit out of Cassie.
Yes, I did see that. Yes, you are correct about that.
Right, but he wasn't charged with that.
No,
And
no.
this case was really, really boring. I tried to follow Good Logic's daily updates on it, and I
wasn't
would
really.
halfway through and just completely lose interest and go off to something else.
It wasn't really nothing that was a smoking gun here. It
Right.
was a bunch of accusations, and the defense attorneys proved that, well, basically cast out on the state's case. So
think about it. If the U.S. federal government can't use all of its resources, FBI agents, and anything else they need to find the evidence, to bring it against you and try to put you in prison, if they fail at that, you're still going to say that this is a bad guy. I think that he won his day in court, with the exception of course, the conviction of transportation across state lines for the purpose of prostitution is not a great charge to have, but he's still looking at 10 years. But either way, the state failed.
they did. I did that in court. They did. But for me to say he's a bad guy is personal judgment.
You know what's interesting? His exposure is 10 years, and that's what Dexter Taylor is doing for not buying permits. Didn't buy some pieces of paper in the state of New York, and he's been sentenced to the same exposure as someone a pimp who transports a woman across state lines for the purpose of prostitution.
Well, yeah, guns are bad in New York.
Well, the gun wasn't the problem. He wasn't charged with having a gun. He was charged with not buying a permit.
I know, but the permit is related to guns.
The permit makes it safe. That's right. I forgot about that. That piece of paper is prevent all crimes from happening.
Yeah, so
it's like a restraining order. Ask anyone who's put out the restraining order how safe they feel.
I actually got a attorney reaching out to me who wants to review Dexter's case. I told him, like, well, we don't have that just yet.
Yeah, tell him get with Dexter's attorney and see if you can join the team, work it out. I'm down with it.
Yeah, but Dexter doesn't want that. So
I think Dexter's set up pretty good with he's just going to take time on the appeal, and of course the money portion of that.
Yeah,
I'm going to start running a promo come Friday night for Dexter. We're going to run it like we run the Range Mind.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
It was Queen or somebody in this group that suggested. I'm like, you know what? I had one that was running for a while, and I just go back to it.
Yeah, good. Good, because man, you know, I don't think we have Soto doing the hats anymore. So
I haven't seen Soto in a while. We were talking about that on live stream, but I haven't seen that man in a bit.
He popped into the window like once about a week or two ago, I think.
He still like comments sometimes when I post, but nothing regarding Dexter. And if you go to his website, Dexter's hats is not up there anymore. So
well, he took his focus back to his firearms business, I think, and not the printing. I think the printing wasn't doing him great.
That's all good. I'm trying to find somebody else to do hats and shirts and stuff, because I know that was something that's really wanted to have.
Hit me up. I've got some folks that'll do it, just like Sig was doing it.
Okay, good.
Well, guys, any more y'all want to say about Sean Diddy Combs, about how he was the spawn of evil and the government or the jury got it wrong? The government was perfect in their prosecution.
I don't think it was spawn of evil, but his music was terrible.
Yeah, I listened to a song when this all started because I don't think I had ever heard his music, and I listened to a couple and I was like,
hold up. Court adjourns as judge considers Combs' release. So he's going to take in consideration Combs could be out on bond by the end of the day.
Yeah, he's probably going to be out on the street by the end of the day.
Yep.
I don't see them keeping them in there on these 2 charges.
I don't think they
either.
should. If the state takes a swing at you 5 times and misses you 3, then maybe you should get out on bond.
Well, and he didn't even get like a pimp charge. He just got a driver's charge.
Yeah.
But promotion of prostitution is what that would be, and you would have to take funds of it. Just literally, this what he got charged with. If you took your girlfriend from Georgia to North Carolina or to South Carolina so that she could earn $20 on a prostitution act, even though you don't make any money from it, you expose yourself for 10 years on the federal level just by driving.
So Diddy got charged with being a liberal, is what you're saying?
He got charged for paying for a plane ticket for somebody to fly out, and he paid him $50 suck his dick. That's what he got charged with.
Yeah, being a liberal. That's the same thing.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
He got charged for being a delivery driver.
He's an
Hey, don't
Uber
make fun of my career.
If it wasn't the fact that his name was Diddy, he would have never been charged with what he was found guilty with.
No. He got charged with being an Uber driver. That's fucked up. That's crazy, bro.
Well, let's go to X and we'll watch all the comments on how the jury got it wrong and everybody else knew exactly what was going on here and how many years Diddy should have gotten put in prison, and the cabal has manipulated another evil act.
Joe, you're at almost 200. By the way, just on X.
Yeah, I would say Diddy has got 200. People are interested in that.
I mean,
Well, good
still,
logic. Put up a stream on that too. So,
but here's the thing, though, Joe. How many people are probably broadcasting the same thing you are, and you got 200 people listening to you instead of them?
yeah, right above him is good logic, and he's been the one following this, and he's only at like 700. I don't think people were really as interested in this case as the courts were kind of hoping for.
I think the government built it up, or news media built it up and didn't deliver. And I think the jury felt the same way.
Yeah. I think this is more a niche audience who wanted to follow this case.
Yeah, I really haven't seen a lot about it on X. I mean,
me neither.
So I don't think people were interested in Diddy or his case, or they just didn't care. There are other things going on that are more.
I think most people
guys want
just
to take
don't care about celebrity culture anymore.
You guys going to want to take a bet, see how much it'll pick up over the next 48 hours?
Why do you think it will?
Because he got the not guilties. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, just like we've heard in here,
yeah,
man, But I think you don't take into account the government brought this case when they wanted to. They have the ability to search. They did. They search his properties, his bank accounts. They go through everything. If he'd ever left the country, they got that recorded. They talked to everyone. They proffer. The government had all the tools, and they shot him at this guy and lost 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I would not want to be that prosecutor right now.
Or it could be there wasn't a case. Maybe
There
that's
wasn't.
it.
There
Maybe
wasn't.
Still want to be that prosecutor.
The things that they accused him of.
There wasn't a case. There was no case.
But I don't think you'll see that on X. I think you'll see it flip the other way to where something is amiss. The cabal is out there. The Rothschilds, everybody got in there to get Diddy released, and they paid off the jury.
Even like a couple months before this verdict, they were saying that the state didn't really have a strong case, so there wasn't a case.
And remember, I think there was at 8 counts, they removed 3 prior to the jury deliberations, and that's a strong indication that you didn't feel good enough about your own case.
I agree with you there. Do you know what the counts were that they removed?
I don't remember. I said I don't remember. I don't know that I actually really knew. I just know that they removed some, and I thought that was strange.
Wait, hold on one second. I'll grab it.
Yeah. Yeah, they was when they had Cassie in there, I knew they didn't have a strong case.
I'll tell you, when it comes to conspiracy or racketeering, and then go back and pull records, It's hard if you're doing it. It's hard to cover it up because you're going to have records. You're going to have money moving from one location to the next. You're going to have instructions. I mean, that's what racketeering is, or criminal organized crime is. If you have the ability to access to all these digital records and you can't come up with a case to convict them on that one,
Oh,
that indication.
The ones
uh,
they removed were the attempted kidnapping under both California and New York,
Okay.
attempted
Mhm.
arson under California, and aiding and abetting
that was
sex
the burning of the
trafficking.
car. That was the burning of the
Yep.
car I mentioned earlier.
Oh,
That-
Well, you
that
know what?
was
That's a good
Kid
point.
Cudi's car?
yeah, that was Kid Cudi's car.
Okay.
You
I
bring that
remember
up.
that.
You bring that up, but after they have the opportunity to go through all this trial and put all this evidence on, and they get the chance for the jury to make a decision, they pull it back because they couldn't prove it. So, I mean, I think
Yeah, no,
Right.
it has to go to Diddy. I think the doubt has to go to Diddy.
I
I
wonder
mean,
if they couldn't, if that all boiled down to a he said she said type
it
of thing.
was. It
I
was
do think so, yes.
because Kid Cudi alleged that there was something, an argument between him and Diddy, a dispute over a song credit, and Diddy got mad and came and burned down his car. But again, that was based off of one person's testimony and not something that they could prove. But I just
Yeah,
think
we're
it's
we're
funny.
hitting that in our court case right now, a he said she said type of thing, and I'm curious if, like, it's nice to see a jury kind of see through that if that's the case.
Yeah.
I think
Gives me
juries
a
get it.
little hope.
I'll be honest with you. I think juries get it right most of the time. I'm not saying that it's all the time, but I think juries get it right most of the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
But guys, I hate to tie it up, but I do need to tie it up and get back onto some real work. Getting ready for the interrogation show tonight. It's going to be a good one. Another looks like another husband on the hot seat for missing wife.
I'll be
We
listening.
need to
but
find one where the wife. Oh, we had one, right? We had that one case where the wife down in Florida killed that guy, tried to kill, hired a hitman to kill her husband.
Well, let me ask you this: Why do I have to? Why do I
You
have to?
don't.
It's
You
weird because
don't. I just
well,
find
we
it.
need a woman now with this. We had the man. We need a woman.
Well,
Equality.
no, I don't mean it like that. I mean, women have different mindsets than men, right?
for entertainment
And
purposes, it will be fire.
Hush your mouth,
yeah.
Carl. That's what we have for tonight. It's going to be good. And we've also got the new one kicking up tomorrow with our friend Corey, the soapbox. We're going to have an Oxford style debate. I'm not exactly sure what the topic is yet. I got to get with Corey. But tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern, we're going to stream that. We're going to have an accompany a space with it as well and let the audience decide
I
who's the
can't wait,
victor.
bro.
What's
Can't
the
wait to
subject?
Well, I just said I didn't know quite yet. Corey's kind of handling
Oh,
that.
okay.
He's giving them an option of 3 subjects. I don't know which one they're going to choose.
Oh, I
Sorry,
can't
I
wait
was trying to
to
think of. Can you get the interrogation of oh, the guy, cannot think of his name, but he had killed Lacey Peterson. The
Doc Peterson?
Yes. Isn't that funny? That's my husband's name. I can never remember.
Why would I want to get that? What's significant about his?
I don't know. That could be pretty interesting because there was.
Re-
I never saw the
re-
interrogation of that, but there was so much about that case.
recently, the Innocence Project is trying to get him out of jail because they said there was irregularities in the interrogation process, and that the police never pursue alternative suspects.
I think they found some evidence that there could be an alternative suspect. So I'm not sure about that. I can try to do a FOIA request, Fidji, and get that. I don't know what it will yield, but I can try.
Well, if it's interesting, then you can put it on the show. If it's not interesting, interrogation. Then. But
Right.
it was such a big case.
I'll do the FOIA request volleys back and forth and see how many it takes me to get what we're looking for, and then we'll see what we got.
Hey, Joe, when you do a FOIA request, is that only for cases that have been completed? Can you do a FOIA to get, like, what's going on during a case?
You can do a FOIA request for anything, but the state does not have to give you something that's an ongoing trial or that could jeopardize an ongoing prosecution. Post prosecution or post conviction or even acquittal, everything that they use to make that decision is available and can't be hidden.
Okay.
You can ask for it, and you'll have some agencies, they'll give you a little bit on open investigation. Maybe typically what they'll give you is what we call the jail screen, what the probable cause was to put someone in jail and that kind of ancillary information. It won't give you a lot.
I have another question for you, Joe. If you were, I don't know if you would know this. This would be a civil thing, I think, but like if a woman was misaccusing someone, right? Like you know my case, you know the case I'm talking about. If a woman was misaccusing someone, is there a way? Is there any kind of charge or a way to go after them?
Criminally?
Yeah, I'd like to know criminally.
Yes, absolutely. Making false reports, being providing false witness for material facts that led to a conviction could make your penalty even higher. There's a number of charges for providing false police report.
What if the person doesn't get convicted?
Then they would be not guilty, like Diddy.
But the person who made the charges could go after them. Then that's what I'm asking.
I don't know who the person is. I just don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about who's the person? The person that we're going to convict, the person that lied, the person that was lied upon. Who's the person?
The person making the accusation.
If you make a false accusation and it's proven that you knew or should have known that it was false, that's a crime.
Okay.
And there's certain different levels of it. Let's say if I get on the witness stand and I lie about where I went to high school and then went on to give testimony about a murder. Where I went to high school is not a material fact, but yet it still is perjury. It would be a lower charge perjury if I was convicted of lying about where I went to high school. But if I lie about what I saw on the night of the event and gave what I knew to be wrong material evidence, and then this person was convicted, it would be a felony. In Texas, I think it's a second-degree felony. It's going to put you into prison for a long minute.
Okay.
It also varies from state to state. There are federal crimes. It's a felony to lie to a federal agent during an interview process. It just in general for the feds. But guys, I've got to jump off here. We'll
Okay.
catch you tonight. Thanks for jumping in.
See ya.